Hey everyone, this is John, founder of LeadCapture.io, coming in on an early Thanksgiving Day morning, pretty caffeinated, chugging espresso shots before my kids come racing down the steps to begin the festivities. So in this video, I just want to walk through some of the latest enhancements that we made to the LeadCapture.io platform in our latest sprint release, and also walk through some of the things we're working on that will begin rolling out over the next few weeks. Many of these updates are specifically related to TCPA compliance, and the updates are pretty game changing in terms of what you'll be able to do and how you'll be able to manage your compliance process if TCPA or even GDPR is a big concern for you. So I'll be walking through all of that in this video, but first, happy Thanksgiving to those of you who celebrate it. I went over to ChatGPT and I had to generate this image for me because this feels extremely fitting for the LeadCapture.io team as we're cranking out on feature updates and enhancements as we're kind of starting to work our way into the holiday season. We're not slowing down, we're taking your feedback in, and we're really working on getting things done, especially on the compliance side, to hit these deadlines before the TCPA one-to-one consent legislation drops this January. So tons of exciting things in the works. I just want to say thank you to all of you for your feedback. We hear you, I hear you, we get your feedback daily and we always take it in, and we're just working through prioritizing things. TCPA and compliance is really taking up a lot of our bandwidth, but once we get through that, it's really off to the races with even more enhancements and cool stuff to come. We're on a big mission here. I have a huge vision. I talk to many of you daily about the vision and where we're taking LeadCapture.io. This is only the start. I don't know how many different ways I can say that or how many times I can repeat myself, but what you see with LeadCapture.io is only the beginning. I've always felt like there's been a big gap in the market for a advanced lead capture tool that can do everything from capturing qualified leads to lead verification to compliance and routing all in one place. And we're building that, and we're building the platform based on your feedback. So many exciting things to come, but for now, let's just jump into some of the latest enhancements that have just been dropped into the LeadCapture.io platform this week, and I'm going to get rid of this turkey here. All right, let's just dive into this. So the first big enhancement, actually I have a list, I'll pull this up. So first big enhancement is new phone field called Phone V2. I know, so creative, but we're moving fast, and as a result, sometimes we do not have time to think about how to brand features. That is just the reality that we're living in right now as we crank out features pretty fast. So let me just show you how this works. I'm actually going to go to a different lead capture form. I just launched a new one there, so I don't want to go through that yet. Let's just take a look at this one. So if we go to the contact form, or if you go to your contact form, and if you go to your contact step, I should say, and then if you go to a phone field, and you could either create a new phone field or let's just edit this one. Field type, there is now a new phone field or phone field type called Phone V2. So what is Phone V2? Well, if we click on it, I'll just click Save. You'll see that it's a little bit different. So there's a few things happening. I'm not going to go into all of the updates behind this field, but the gist of it is if you look at this version of the phone field, it's putting the country code into this box instead of in the field. If I just compare again real quick, if we just go to phone, I feel like it should be called Phone V1. I really need to get better at feature naming on the fly. You'll see that the country code is inside of the field. Now, the reason why we created a new field and moved it into the box here is because it has to do with autofill on mobile. So because the country code is in the field, if you're on a mobile device, you can't autofill from the browser. This number messes that up. So we created a new field and put it into the box. And I also feel like this will help reduce friction. If I were you, I would test these two different fields, this one against the Phone V2. I believe that the Phone V2 field has a little bit better user experience. I think it looks a little nicer. So I would probably recommend starting to use this one. Now, the reason why we have two fields has to do with just, again, it ties back to how fast we moved to get this launched. So for us to launch a new field, especially a phone field, we have to do a ton of QA and regression testing across the whole platform. Because if something goes wrong with a phone field, then it could potentially impact lead posting and reliability and all that type of stuff. So instead of slowing us down on that side, we just decided to release a new field. And that reduced a lot of risk with the launch. And these are the types of things that we are always considering when we do a new feature release. The big thing that we focus on is how do we remove as much risk and prevent downtime. And if there's even the slightest chance of risk or something impacting the platform, then we will not do a release, or we'll think of a creative way around it. In this case, it was launching a whole different phone field. Now, we do have a lot of systems and processes built into our release process as well to prevent problems from popping up, but this is just like a fallback that we'll use. So in this case, we just went with a whole new phone field. And I think there's value to using both phone fields as well. So until we know what one we really want to stick with, we just stuck it in this phone V2. All right, so the other thing to note here as well is that this phone V2 works with the phone verification, and it pretty much works the same way as the original phone field. So one other thing to note, since I'm inside of this lead capture form with car make model, in our previous sprint release, we released our car make model API and data feed. So if you missed that, I'll just quickly show this. Within just a couple of steps here, if you are in the auto industry or if you need car makes and models, you can easily pull them up, and we have dynamic drop downs that now match the car make and car model. We also have a car year. And as you can see, all of this information is being pulled in dynamically. So we have a data feed through another API that we've integrated with, and it is keeping all of this information up to date. This means you do not have to go cobble this information together yourself. I'm not even sure like how that would be possible. Or you don't have to pay for an expensive third-party API, and you don't have to worry about using a free limited API. We have all of this data in here, and it's included in our paid plans with Lead Capture IO, so you can access this now inside of the dashboard. Let's see what else we released here that I want to go through. So on the OTP phone verification step, I can't quite show this right now, but we reduced the time from 60 seconds to 30 seconds. So what I'm referring to here is when somebody requests a PIN code for phone verification. Previously, they had a little countdown clock that would force them to wait 60 seconds before requesting a new PIN code. Feedback that we got is that was too long, and we reduced that down to 30 seconds. If we need to reduce it down further, then we'll probably make it 15 seconds, or in a future update, we'll just give you control over that. I think giving more control over flexibility in this case makes a lot of sense. So that'll probably be something that we'll just give control over in the next phase of iterations for the OTP phone verification field. Let's talk about the real estate API. This is a super cool feature that we just dropped in, and I'm pretty excited about the potential here. And there's multiple phases of development happening with real estate API. So let's get out of this lead capture form, and I'll pause so this way I don't waste too much time trying to find the right form here. All right, I pulled up a test lead capture form. And now, before today, if you needed to collect an address, let's say you are in the mortgage space, you're capturing mortgage leads or real estate leads, or let's say you're in home services and you need to capture an address. Before today, you could either have a field where someone had to type in the full address, or you could use Google Address Autocomplete, which is a great feature. I highly recommend you using this one to autofill addresses. Now today, there's another option called Real Estate API. And with Real Estate API, you can enter an API key. I just showed this one, but don't try to somehow use this from the video because it won't be around for long. It's just a testing API key. You can use a API called Real Estate API, and it will autofill the address. I don't know if it'll work in the preview. Let's see what happens. I don't think that worked. Let's see if we could get it to work here. So as you can see, like the Google address autocomplete field. It's pulling in address information and then it's parsing it into a bunch of different fields. Now, what makes this API unique and extremely useful is you can come in here and when you're setting it up, you can have it basically enrich your lead information with tons of different data points. Everything from equity to estimated equity, flood zone information, last sale price, home equity, and so on. So let me show you real quick real estate API. So this is the API that we're integrated with. If you would like to use this API, then you need to contact this company and they'll provide you with the API key. You'll have to purchase that from them, the license, and then you'll get the API key and you'll be able to set this up. To give you an idea of the data points that we're collecting, there's hundreds of different data points you can choose to enrich your lead with. And a lot of that is included in the API right here. So actually, I don't know if this is the right section. Okay, here's the right section. So root level fields, if you just look through here, there's tons of different fields. Current mortgage information, demographics, foreclosure, last sale information, lot info, and the list goes on. So unlike address autocomplete by Google, with real estate API, you can enrich your lead information with all of this data. And you can even, where this gets really cool is you can take some of this information. So if I just show you a field here, you can take a field like this, or imagine it's home valuation. You could copy that and then paste it in a thank you step. So imagine you have a lead capture form that's something like a what's the value of my home quiz. You can actually now pull that data into the last step of the form. And you can begin to enrich your different steps with information that's related to the home or the prospect. Then you can also enrich your lead and pass that into your CRM or lead distribution tools or off to your clients with even more information to help them when they're then communicating with clients and qualifying deals. So this is the first phase of updates with the real estate API. We're also currently investigating just making it part of our platform. So instead of you having to go over to real estate API, we would buy the license and license out the usage of it from our side and just make it available. So that way you can pretty much set this up in one click. So more updates to come on that. I'd imagine that would probably happen over the next couple of months if that ends up happening. But for now, you could always contact Real Estate API, get an API key, and then start using this feature as soon as today. All right, next update here. So we talked through new phone field, OTP, Real Estate API, conditional routing to a step. So this is pretty cool. I don't know how many people know this, but currently with our webhook, let's go over to the webhook. We have the ability to redirect based on a URL that comes back from the CRM or lead distribution tool. So when it comes to redirects, most people handle a basic redirect simply by when someone submits the lead capture form, it then redirects to another step within the funnel. But there's also a more advanced way of handling it where you send the information into your CRM. The CRM then sends a response back to Lead Capture IO with a unique URL. And then we can then grab that URL with this feature and then redirect to a URL with like it typically has a special token or ID that relates back to the specific lead. So in some cases, you will not want to route the lead and you might want to show like if they're not qualified or if the lead's rejected by the buyer. You might want to show a message that says, sorry, you're not qualified. Obviously, state it better than that. 7:30 in the morning, can't think straight right now. So you could either say something like that or just say, we're going to contact you soon or something like that. And the way we handle the conditional logic to display the message is we now have another field here that says, select step on redirect, and then now you can just redirect to another step within the lead capture form. So this is pretty key for the feature where you're basically redirecting based on a URL that comes back to us. But this is also key because this is the beginning of allowing us to do even more dynamic redirects to specific steps based on a server response from the CRM and lead distribution side. So if you get some sort of server response that indicates that you need more information from a lead, for example, you could then eventually, when we make this new update, like the second round to this, you'll be able to redirect them to a different step within the lead capture form to continue capturing information. So lots of additional updates here, and just stay tuned on that side of things. Co-branding update. So this is something that we've been working on a little bit quietly, and I'll just quickly share an update here. So previously with Lead Capture IO, it was possible to white label the platform, and we positioned it as white labeling. And we learned that white labeling wasn't really the best word. So the way this worked is you can flip your account into agency mode and go through and customize Lead Capture IO with your own branding, with your own logo, and even add Lead Capture IO to your own domain. And we called that white labeling, but the problem is that we can never truly white label it because we still show up in the code, and we can even be found on the lead verification credit purchase side. And even with lead verification, like our phone numbers, it becomes really harder to totally make us invisible. And people would come through and try to white label us and pretty much turn Lead Capture IO into their own SaaS. And it just was kind of like a clunky, not so great experience. So after doing a lot of thinking and kind of reworking through things, we repositioned white labeling more as a co-branded experience. And this mostly applies to agencies or even lead sellers who want to have some sort of a portal to send their clients into. But I'd say mostly this is applicable to agencies and people with clients. But you can now flip your account into agency mode. It's a different type of plan. So if you're interested in that, just reach out and let me know. You can flip your account into agency mode and co-brand it. And I'll show you what that looks like right here. So in this case, I just created a fictitious company called Infinite Marketing Lead Capture IO. So in this case, it's on the Lead Capture IO domain, but you could have this on your own domain. And that's something that we need to help you get set up with. And then if we go to the URL, this is how it looks. So as you can see, it's co-branded. Our branding did flash up for a quick second. It's usually much faster than that. I think I'm slowing my computer down and network connection down a little bit. But this is how it looks. So as you can see, this includes, in this case, this fictitious company's information. And then you can log in. So I'll log in real quick. And then just logging into the account, you can see it looks very similar to Lead Capture IO. But instead of showing the Lead Capture IO branding, it shows your own branding. And then, like I said, it's co-branded, so we're still visible. And I think the benefit to it being co-branding is you get to also leverage Lead Capture IO's brand, and that will only become stronger over time. So it will help reinforce everything that you're doing. The pitch here to clients is that you're basically giving them really high performing lead capture software that they can plug right into their website, landing pages, and funnels to start capturing more qualified leads. Then you can even give them their own accounts. They can log into their own accounts through your co-branded account. They'll see all of your branding, and they can access their lead capture forms and their own leads inside of your account. So that's pretty cool. We have a whole siloed account structure. So the big updates that we made for co-branding in this latest release includes repositioning it more as co-branding just to make that more clear, and also improving some bugs and glitches that we had with the co-branding experience. We had rebranded and redesigned back in, I believe it was July of 2024, and some things broke here, so we came in and cleaned it up and fixed it. We're going to be making a big bet on co-branding into the future, so only expect more amazing updates to come on the co-branding side of things for agencies. All right, so that's co-branding. And then one thing I wanted to note is attribution. I figured out how to get attribution data into lead capture IO. Now, this uses another integration, and I just want to quickly walk through how I'm handling this because I think this is pretty cool. Some of you I've kind of like, I believe, either beta tested this with or got some of you set up. In the future, we will have our own attribution system that shows you where leads are coming from without you even having to add UTMs or anything like that. But for now, I found a really cool workaround. So let's just walk through that real quick. So here's a new lead capture form that we're deploying across lead capture IO. And I've sent a test lead through. If I open up the test lead, you'll see I have all of the information from the lead capture form, but I also have some additional information such as channel drill down, first landing page visited, landing page group, and more. And all of this information is just being pulled in from the user's browser when they hit the page. So the way this works is we're using a third-party tool called Attributor.io. They're giving us a tracking script, and then we're then adding some hidden fields into the lead capture form and pulling this data in from a cookie that's stored on the user's browser. So this, in this particular case, it's probably not the best example because it's showing direct. But imagine somebody comes in organically to a blog post. You can capture that information now and pull that into your lead capture form. So you can actually see what blog posts are generating leads for you, what content is working best for you from a lead capture perspective. If you're using Lead Capture IO for clients, you can actually show your clients what blog posts are generating the most leads for you. And then where that gets really powerful is you can push this data into the CRM or into a Google Sheet, and you can then begin to generate your reports based off source information. Another example is imagine you're running Facebook ads or Google ads or paid ads of some sort. Currently, the way most people handle attribution is it's just a matter of adding UTMs and hidden fields, and then you're pulling the source information from the URL from the UTM parameters. That works only on first click unless you're somehow storing that information in a cookie. Now with Attributor, the Attributor integration, it makes it possible to capture that information right in the form, especially if they leave the site and come back. So imagine someone clicks through from a Facebook or a Google ad and then they bounce. Maybe they get distracted. Pretty common. Well, if they come back, you can still capture that information and then post that into your CRM, send it to clients, send it to buyers, put it in a spreadsheet, and do further analysis on it. So this is really phase, I would say, point one of attribution. The next step is to begin building out some more advanced attribution features now that we see the potential here. Just being able to grab this information inside of the Lead Capture IO form is completely game changing and extremely valuable. So now that I figured out how to do that, the next thing to do is to actually build out our own system that can do that and then have all sorts of reporting and ways to see the data inside of the platform itself and then push the data out to where it needs to go. Now, that probably won't be happening in 2024. It's more of a 2025 thing because we have some bigger, higher priority features to work through, such as TCPA compliance, email verification, and more customization of our flagship product, our lead capture form builder. But in the meantime, you can at least get attribution data inside of the lead capture form. And just to show you here, if you go to lead delivery, go down to the section and there's a link to get to Attributor or some information about it. And all you need to do is go sign up for a plan. I'm not affiliated with them at all. So it's just the best tool that I have found for this use case. There might be other tools that could work as well, such as Hyros, but Attributor I have found definitely works. So that's worth looking into. And I feel like we figured out a lot in terms of just getting attribution data in there. All right, now just to wrap up, let's just talk about some of the things that are currently in progress. So currently we are really focused on TCPA consent and compliance. So the way that we think about product development is we focus on different developmental milestones. So this current milestone that will be wrapping up in November through end of December, maybe beginning of January, is all about compliance. And over the course of the next few weeks, you're going to start seeing features related to consent and compliance dropping inside of Lead Capture IO. The first is round one of TCPA consent. This includes it's basically far more than just a checkbox. It includes pre-written templates based on the way that you capture consent. Some of these are legally approved. And it's the beginning of a compliance suite where we're going to be able to drop any type of compliance template in, even those that apply to more than just TCPA consent. So think GDPR, think optimized GDPR templates that are legally approved. And then different ways of displaying checkboxes, especially if you now need to get multiple company names into a checkbox if you're dealing with one-to-one consent. So this is going to be absolutely game changing if you are on the lead selling side, and if you're selling leads to multiple buyers and having to figure out how to deal with one-to-one consent. And currently what I'm hearing is a lot of people are having to change their process and they're building out individual funnels per buyer. This will definitely help streamline that process. Now, for those of you who have a more advanced need where it's dynamic, basically it pings this receiving system, let's say a lead distribution tool or CRM with a data point such as zip code or state or something like that, then pulls the data back into the form. We will have that as a feature as well soon. We're currently working on dynamic consent, and we'll go into how it works because it's pretty technical, but we're working on a way to universally do this across any CRM or lead distribution tool. So that will be round two. Currently, we need to get this part done first, then this part will follow hopefully before the new year. So this stuff is in progress. It's really key that we get this done. And this is part of the reason why we aren't able to get to every little optimization right now. We're launching a lot of stuff in parallel, but this is really just taking up a lot of bandwidth, and I'd imagine it will continue to through the rest of December, especially this dynamic consent part. TCPA consent round one, the checkboxes and templates I think could potentially be live by our next sprint release, so not next week, the week that follows. Then we'll be trying to get this out. I have a really exciting template in process. I'm debating whether or not I want to talk about that right now. I think, given the amount of time that I've been going on here, I'm just going to say there's a third template coming out. It's going to be kind of game changing, I think, for conversion. And I'll just leave it at that, and we'll come back to that another time. But just pay attention, and eventually I'll be dropping a new template and some information around that you can use to help increase conversions. Beyond that, we're working on a ton of stuff. I don't think I even have the full list here. More advanced logic jumps are coming. It's been highly requested. We need to get that out, and we're starting to work on plans for that. Point of capture email verification is our second core verification feature. So we have phone verification, and now we're starting to work on the email verification feature, and we will get that out soon. I know that's highly requested by many of you. And then beyond that, like I said, many additional things in progress. If you requested something and I told you that we're working on it and you don't see it here, it doesn't mean we're not working on it. It just means that when I created this list at 6 a.m., I just probably forgot to add it in. So lots of updates coming. Thank you if you stuck around this long to watch this video, and thank you so much for being part of the lead capture movement here. I just decided to call it a lead capture movement because that's what it is. We are on a big mission here to build out this amazing lead capture platform and help all of you capture more and better leads for yourself or for your clients. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video.